Well, 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 I've made it. Just a couple of months ago, I made it to my 32nd birthday, a day that, according to medical statistics, wasn't even supposed to be. Dying had been one of my biggest fears since learning at the age of 4 that I wasn't projected to live past the age of 6. Masked with a naturally bubbly personality, mixed with a dose of sassiness, intelligence, and might I add, cuteness, I hid my fear of going to sleep at night and not waking the next morning. You see, according to doctors, my spine was on track to curve to such a degree that my lungs and my heart would collapse. I was born with scoliosis and kyphosis. Allow me to educate you on the two. You see, scoliosis is a sideways curvature of the spine, while kyphosis is characterized by an abnormally rounded upper back of more than 50 degrees of curvature. I'll have you know that my spine has already surpassed 90 degrees. And so aside from high-risk surgery that would carve metal screws into my vertebrae and possibly leave me paralyzed or dead, there wasn't much that could be done to stop the progressive bending of my spine. My family, we are from New York. We are bold. We're outspoken. We say what we mean and we mean what we say, and so there was no sugarcoating my diagnosis. You can call it insanity, poor parenting. I called it just being honest. My mother and my grandmother, they did not shy away from telling me the truth. Besides, the damage was already done. One trip to the hospital to read my MRI results and to hear the doctors tell me and my mom that there wasn't much that they could do, well, those were the words that haunted me at night. And so I had a great respect for doctors. I still do. And so I thought that whatever they said would come to pass. I was sure of it. So as a kid, right before bedtime, I would say my prayers of, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. But then I would spend the next half hour crying. I went to sleep many nights with an immense amount of fear in my heart. But somehow, I would always wake up with an invincible attitude. You see, waking up for me and opening my eyes felt synonymous to a defibrillator shocking my heart back to life. In 1992, we celebrated my 6th birthday. The year after that, I celebrated another birthday, and I grew more confident. And every morning since then, I've woken up with a thought that maybe someone's educated guess about my life expectancy was off the mark. And so I said, well, Monique, listen, if the Creator would hand you yet another day, another month, another year to live, well, girl, you might as well milk it for all it was worth and do it with a swag that's undeniable. I believe that I have. Here's a photo from when I first started to believe that I was hot stuff. You see, in 1996, presidential candidate Bob Dole touched down in Winston-Salem for his presidential campaign. And who did they call on to sing for him? Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Why, that would be me. From singing for presidential candidates to being one of the most popular kids in my school, I began to wonder if my ability to live life with an audacious outlook and a confident mindset was the very thing that helped protect me from succumbing to such an evil prognosis. Perhaps I had found a way to outsmart death. But the Grim Reaper wasn't done giving me a spook. By my preteen years, medically, things seemed to be looking up for me. But I became a little more paranoid of dying in other situations. Let's take my 6th grade year of middle school, for example. It was a year that would test my abilities and just to what length I would go to live. Let me set the scene for you. It's middle school, a new school, long hallways, new teachers, new friends, tall lockers, My second period science class was interrupted by the loud sounds of the fire alarm. The loud sounds of the alarm, coupled with the flashing light, signaled to me that we would have to get back to learning about the water cycle at a later time. Just then, a smile crept across my face because I remembered, wait a minute, this means a break from class and a chance to high-five a few of my friends on the outside. After all, it was only a fire drill, right? And so I knew the protocol. All students line up in a single file line to be escorted by the teacher from the third floor to the first floor and several feet away from the building. As for me, well, my aide would just simply direct me to the elevator since it was only a fire drill, right? But on this particular day, I had a substitute aide, a fill-in, an elderly lady who spent her time volunteering in the school system where needed. She was a little old lady, super ancient, had to have been like 150 years old, and she shuffled her tiny feet across the floor when she walked. I remember thinking, man, she could barely keep up with me in my wheelchair. Maybe I should stop, let her hop on, I'll give her a ride. Well, this sweet older lady led me to the elevator, and we stood there waiting for what seemed to be eternity. I thought to myself, wait a minute. Besides the fire alarm, the hallways are silent. Everyone had evacuated. There was not a soul in sight. Where is the elevator? What's taking the elevator so long? So we stood there waiting, until I turned to my aide and asked, this is a fire drill, right? With squinted eyes, she looked down at me and said, huh? I said, this is a fire drill, right? With wide eyes, she replied, oh, I don't know. I said, wait a minute. The office. They didn't notify you that this is a fire drill? And before she could answer, the elevator doors opened. Just then, my attention was directed to the sign near the call button that says, in case of fire, use the stairs. The little old lady shuffled into the elevator, and she turned around to beckon me to come on. In that moment, my life flashed before my eyes. You see, there was no way I was getting on this elevator and living my last moments with her. Not a chance. And so I replied, no. She said yes. I said no. She said yes. I said no. I'm taking the stairs. And I directed my joystick accordingly. The elderly lady shuffled her tiny feet right behind me until I drove to the top of the stairway. I took a look down. There were many, many steps below. I turned to my aide and I said, listen, you gotta help me. You gotta help me out of this wheelchair. But what was I thinking? Her frail arms couldn't lift me out of my seat. She tried. We attempted. It was a fail. And so I knew that I had to take matters into my own hands. I hopped out of my wheelchair seat onto the floor and positioned myself on that first step. I took a look up at my aide one last time. It didn't look like she was budging, so I began my rapid descent down 4 flights of stairs. And I finally made it within minutes. I was out of breath, winded, frightened to near death. But then I hear the strong steps of a janitor just around the corner. His walkie-talkie sounds off. Shh, fire drill is over. You may release the students back to class. I could not believe it. What was I going to do? You see, here was 2-foot Mo on the floor with hundreds of middle schoolers coming my way. I knew I had to make it up those stairs as fast as possible. And I did. Somehow, some way, I found myself back into my wheelchair seat, and I sat back. And once my head stopped spinning, I chuckled to myself. I was amazed at myself. And from the look on my aide's face, so was she. I can remember the agony and the heart palpitations I experienced simply because I did not want to die. I was willing to go to great measures to try and save myself. Adrenaline set in. Fight or flight mechanism took over my body, sure, but when I returned home in the comfort of my own space, and I recalled the activities of the day. I stood in the mirror, and I gave myself a pat on the back, because physically I had never done anything like that before. I was stronger than what I gave myself credit for, and once again found a way to outsmart death. This time in a different way than I had imagined. You see, this moment confirmed to me that there was absolutely nothing in this life that I could not do. This moment also solidified that not even the fear of death could hold me down. It couldn't count me out. And so I've used moments like this, moments where I have had to stare down death with boldness and courage, stare down death right in its face, as pivotal times that has helped shape who I am today and have helped me to break barriers. You see, in this life, challenges will undoubtedly await us at every turn and every season of our lives. These challenges, those trials and tribulations, if we are not careful, if we don't understand how to process and handle them, they can withdraw life from us. Tough times can literally and figuratively suck the very air out of our lungs. Can you imagine how many people have faced opposition that has brought death upon their dreams? They couldn't reach their mountaintop because of some problem, some tragedy, some circumstance that met them in their valley and slayed their mindset and optimism. How many people live in places of despair and hurt, experiencing rejection that makes them forget the joy of living, that makes them forget that life is a gift? I've encountered many people who have fallen victim to life's challenges. And if I'm to be honest, I'm not proud to say, but I used to try to distance myself from those who seem to be suffering in life. With all that I've ever been through in my own personal life, I only wanted to be empowered and motivated and push the envelope and prove to those crusty doctors that I was capable of living life and living life more abundantly. And so I thought, well, Monique, why do you need to hang around the wounded if all you've ever wanted to be was healed yourself? But the Creator had an assignment for me. And as I grew, well, obviously not in height, right? But in spirit and maturity, there became a unique attraction that drew people from all walks of life to me. People of different ethnicities, different religions, different backgrounds, different orientation, different age range and professions. There was a unique attraction that drew people to me, so much so that it baffled me. I began to ask the question to my friends and supporters and those who I've never met before, but I put up a Facebook status to ask, what is it about me? What is it about my story that makes you want to be around me? That makes you want to befriend me? That makes you want to lean on me, of all people, for guidance? Their answer was simple yet powerful. I was literally hope on wheels for them. I was hope that they too could resuscitate dead dreams. I was hope that gave them the empowerment to see the meaning in their own existence. I was hope for them. I was hope for them. Today, I am proud to say that doctors are still astonished that I am still here. Well, surprise. My spine has stopped curving. My organs have shifted to their unique position, and medically, I am a miracle. I embody the principle that says that so a man or a woman thinketh, so is she. I also believe that life and death is in the power of your tongue. It is not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And so I understand that no matter my physical makeup, no matter the turbulence you might be experiencing in life, everything around me can be crumbling. But I know that my spirit is alive and well. And this same spirit of boldness, of courage, this same spirit that was in notable overcomers such as Helen Keller and Nelson Mandela and Harriet Tubman and even Harriet Jacobs, a remarkable woman who hid in a crawl space no larger than a coffin in order to escape slavery, in order to gain her life. That same spirit of drive, of tenacity, and having the passion to want to live, that same spirit is in me. And I'm here to let you know that with your permission, that same spirit can be alive and well in you. But it is only when you tap into your spirit of faith and perseverance, and you choose to live life with joy and peace and happiness, with purpose on purpose, that you become smart enough, that you become bold enough, that you become strong enough to outsmart death. Why? Because in that moment, you have chosen to live life. Thank you.